So what about Donetsk? What about bombing Donbas for 8 years?
The city has changed significantly for the worse, if you can call it that.
This is normal. Russian world came.
I agree with this, I agree with this wording.
So you're so Ukrainian, in short, if you agree with the wording.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm Ukrainian, well. I don't actually have citizenship. I'm also Russian by nationality.
Russian by nationality. Well, that sounds like a death sentence now, basically.
Well, it's counted through the father. That's how it is.
And who is your mother?
My mother is also Russian.
Why did you go?
There was a difficult family situation there. The father beat the mother.
For what?
Why, I don't know. I was still little at that time.
We're drinking, I guess.
No, he didn't drink, but he did beat her. He was such a hot-tempered person. Very.
What is your military rank, position, and unit U14?
My current rank is lieutenant. I was private. A grenade launcher operator. Military unit, 5th Brigade. This is the 5th Brigade. 3rd Motorized Rifle Battalion. 7th Company, 3rd Platoon, 1st Squad.
How did you become a lieutenant?
I became a lieutenant because there was a shortage of personnel and, well, roughly speaking, they choose us like this. You are this, you are this, you are this.
Why didn't they choose you as a colonel?
There were colonels.
Lieutenant colonel.
There were lieutenant colonels too. The installed...
You should take for yourself some kind of captain of the 3rd rank.
No. Basically, it turned out like this. I was appointed to the position, and after that...
Okay, come on, this is all bullshit. Let's start over. What happened in 2014?
Absolutely nothing happened in Kherson except for perhaps one rally when the Ukrainian coat of arms was torn down from the executive committee building, and that was pretty much it in Kherson. I didn't go to Donetsk at that time and wasn't particularly interested in politics, again due to my age.
Yeah. War, shooting.
Kherson is a city in the rear. It was not seriously affected either by the war or by anything.
No, I know that perfectly well. Tell that to a broken Samsung.
Good. Kherson is a relatively rear line town, so it was generally quiet there. During the war, that is basically over the entire 10 years, Kherson was probably hit no more than 10 times.
From what?
There were some planes and probably grads. Nothing else.
Any casualties?
I didn't see the bodies myself, but I followed the Vkontakte publics. Yes, there were some there, but the actual bodies were blurred and obscured.
What can you tell me about the 8 years of bombing Donbas?
I wouldn't say that Donbas was bombed for 8 years.
Why? They bombed. They just showed on the phone why they bombed Donbas.
Well, that didn't really happen. There was shelling, yes, there was shelling, but the shelling was probably limited to the frontline areas. That's all. Nothing hit the city center.
Okay, but what appeared?
Nothing. It just disappeared.
What disappeared?
Life disappeared from the city.
What does it mean?
If before this, the city of Donetsk was developing by leaps and bounds, roughly speaking, or rather, not roughly speaking, that is how it was. And in 2014, everything simply stopped and perhaps even rolled back.
So I'm asking what appeared. Checkpoints appeared, Chechens. More precisely, Kadyrov's commandant's office appeared, seizing everything they could, right? Tell me about the facts you know. I know all of this, though enough people who were there told me about it. Plus, there are public groups that the buzzword.
Well, again, personally, I didn't see anything. As for the public pages, yes, some, not all, were posting information about cars being taken away. About how they basically just pulled people out of their cars. I wasn't personally present, and the public groups were mostly purged. That is, the large public groups were purged. That is, in large public groups like...
Doesn't matter.
If you know such a group. Well, you probably know. It was there back in the days of Ukraine. It's still there. There was absolutely nothing like that there.
Everything was very good
From there, they started cleaning up afterward.
I see. What have you been doing since 14?
In 14, I was still in school, in the 10th grade. In 15, I graduated from high school, finishing the 11th grade. After 11th grade, I entered the technical school, but due to my laziness, I never managed to finish it at the time. I graduated from technical school only this year.
What have you been doing? You have a very well-developed sense of laziness. Or on the contrary, have you been doing nothing at all?
I was studying, working. I worked in security. I was already when I turned 18. I went to work in security. Then I started working as a waiter.
Where?
At various companies. I worked in Kherson, and then later in 2021 I went to Rostov, then to Crimea, where I also worked as a waiter.
Uh-huh. How did the war start? What happened in 2022?
In 2022, things were generally relatively quiet. On February 18, the head of the Republic announced a general evacuation.
Who is this?
Denis Pushilin. February 19.
Denis Pushilin is a dickhead.
On February 19, mobilization was announced. So, during the mobilization, they started grabbing people. Well, everyone probably saw it happen. They started grabbing people, just picking them up and taking them away somewhere. As I later understood, they started taking them to military recruitment office. Afterwards, at the military registration office, you wait a certain amount of time until a certain number of people have gathered. They put you on a bus and take you to the assembly point.
Is this your fate, then?
That's when it touched.
So you've been fighting since the very first days of the war?
From the first days of the war, yes.
You're probably the record holder among survivors. Were you injured?
Yes, there were injuries.
Let's recount your military history in order. They took you to the military office, and where did you go?
I was taken to the military office. I spent about half an hour there. During that half an hour, more people gradually arrived. When there were probably about 30 of us, they gathered us, loaded us onto a bus, and took us to Makivka. In Makivka, they unloaded us and told us to wait. Then someone in uniform, a military man, came out after us. He said, "Follow me." So we lined up and followed him. Then they started dressing us, putting shoes on us, and gave us weapons. After they gave us the weapons, they simply told us not to wander off. So we were in the country yard of some abandoned business. We were in the country yard and were simply told not to wander off. After that, another couple of hours probably passed, and we were all lined up. During the lineup, we were checked by name, and they and they started loading people onto buses again. When we were loaded onto the buses, they loaded us into a bus and said, "You're going to the training ground, don't worry, you'll do some training at the training ground and then go home."
Where did you go?
To Ilovaisk. We went to Ilovaisk. In Ilovaisk, they unloaded us at the train station. They lined us up in the same way and told us not to wander off. We started waiting for something. After another short wait, Russian railway trains arrived, and we realized that there would be no training ground.
And where did they take you?
When we boarded the train, we were told you were actually going to the Crimean training ground. But as it later turned out, once we passed the
Volodymyr,
Crimea...
probably.
No.
Uh-huh.
When we had driving through Russia, we crossed that very bridge. The first warning sign was when we stopped in Jankoy. We probably stayed in Jankoy for about a day. We spent the night there just standing in a place on the train, of course. Then the train pulled away. The train moved off, again in an unknown direction, but again the woke-up call came when passing one of the fields shaped like a cemetery, a Ukrainian flag hanging in the cemetery. We realized we were apparently on Ukrainian territory. We drove past, stopped at some town, and began disembarking from the train. May I smoke?
Well, one by one.
Fine.
We'll make too much smoke.
We started unloading at some populated area. We unloaded and formed up again. It turns out that only our battalion remained. The other battalions were apparently dispersed to other locations. When we were lined up, they explained to us that, again, we were not to scatter, we were to stand in line. We were waiting for something. We waited for the Ural KAMAZ trucks to arrive. They told us to take our things and load them into the KAMAZ trucks. You'll be going with your things. Where to, again, is unknown. When we got into the KAMAZ trucks, they took us there. It was daytime, but again, the road was nothing but fields, and there were no signs, only the backs of which we saw. Later, as it turned out, they were taking us to Kakhovka. To Novaya Kakhovka, to the hydroelectric power station. We spent another night at the hydroelectric power station. Afterwards, we were loaded back into transport, Ural KAMAZ trucks, and they started driving around and around and around the Kherson region. By morning, when we unloaded our vehicles, the Kherson airport was in sight. Well, actually, we were based at the Kherson airport until July 9th.
22nd year.
On the 2022, yes.
Yes, there were no battles, nothing.
There wasn't any actual gunfire at the airport itself. There was only artillery, meaning the artillery was firing at us and we naturally hid.
This is when Chernobyevka.
Chernobyevka, yes.
That's right. There are rumors about Chernobyevka that countless equipment and personnel were wiped out there. Well, not rumor, that's all been proven.
Yes, but I can't say anything about the personnel since it was carefully hidden from us. Since we are not Russian citizens. Not citizens, that's a concept.
So what kind of passport do you have?
Russia, at the moment Russia.
Uh-huh.
Well, I received a Russian passport by birth since I was born in Rostov, and I left Russia in 2020.
Understood.
I got my passport there in 2020. It's for the equipment. Well, you can't hide it, of course. When all that equipment is parked out in the open, everyone
and the
can see
artillery
it.
just keeps on pounding away. So how much was burned there?
Yes.
Well, in pieces.
I can't say in pieces, but dozens. Not single ones.
Tens.
Dozens, yes. Not units. not units.
Ammunition ensured, told that crap, everything was burning blazing.
It was all there, yes, it was all there. And it was all in the open air.
Yeah. And they kept bringing it, and they kept tearing it apart, right? What's the logic behind these actions?
The logic behind this action is completely incomprehensible to me. And most importantly, the equipment was sometimes brought right into the building to make it look pretty.
And then something flew into this formation.
Yes. And there were more than one such precedent, that is.
Well, I get it.
Roughly speaking, every news about some kind of arrival in Chernobyevka, it was an arrival not in the village of Chernobyevka itself, but in the airport itself.
Yeah. This is essentially a unique story because he was an eyewitness to the entire war. He's a rare, exceptional, and fundamentally rare survivor. Exactly 2 years later, he is interviewed and he fought for those 2 years. Well. How did you get injured? Don't breathe into a broken Samsung. The camera is
Understood.
absolutely crying right now. Wave.
I received my first wound in Antonovka.
Uh-huh.
This was the arrival of HIMARS at our
Across
location.
the bridge.
We were located in the previous air defense unit in the previous one, it turns out. So, we lived in any army camp. That is, there were 2-story houses on the unit's grounds. 2-story buildings housed apartments. We lived in these apartments. The shell didn't hit the building, they hit the grounds. The first piece of shrapnel landed from about 300 meters away. It was HIMARS. After the shelling, we lived there for a while, probably no more than a month for sure. I can't say the exact number. And after the Antonovsky Bridge had completely fallen into disrepair, that is, they tried to patch it up, they tried to do something with it. This is the only major logistical artery. After we realized that there was nothing we could do about it and there was no way to get around these potholes, it was decided to relocate us to the left bank.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't live on the left bank for long either. About a week.
Where did you live?
Большие Копанки.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of things have been flying there recently. It's normal. You read about it in the news, by the way.
When we arrived in Большие Копани, there was a forestry station. Naturally empty. But there wasn't enough room for everyone, so they started camping in abandoned houses, and so on. We found one house in more or less good condition. The neighbors told us it had owners. We talked to the owners about renting it. Here we are, we agreed to rent the house for a small price. We chipped in 500 rubles each, and the owner let us stay. Naturally, she promised that everything would be alright and in a good condition. And a week later, when we were told to pack up, we packed up and cleaned up after ourselves. It seemed like a normal rental. They should have treated us normally, and we should have treated the person
Where did
the
you
same
go?
way. In Zaporozhye region, a village, no, probably not a village, Vasilievka. City.
Probably, yes.
We settled in one of the wooded areas there. They told us, you have a huge line of defense. I mean, not the first, not the second, not the third, but your task is to dig
What
trenches
month
here.
is this? It's somewhere around November, right?
Yes. We arrived there on the 4th or 5th of November. A little over a month and a half, we spent digging trenches. As it turned out later, we were digging for the Russians. In other words, we were used, roughly speaking, simply as a labor.
For Russians, in short.
Yes. After we dug it out, they told us the sooner you dig it out, the sooner you can go home. Home, that is, to the Donetsk region. At first we didn't believe it, but after one of the same battalions in the Donetsk region dug up the trenches and went home, our work seemed to accelerate. We realized we weren't being deceived. After they dug it out, they came to us and checked that everything was ready and you were free to go. Well, from there, of course.
And you went?
We went home to the Donetsk region, where they started pushing us into the mines and into Makiivka. We lived in a mine for a while. Well, not in the mine itself, not underground.
Well, that's clear.
Well, lived in the administrative building on the abandoned floors. And after they began to reorganize us, meaning the regiment changed its size, and they decided to make 3 battalions out of 5. Because back then it was very easy to get discharged, that is, due to illness. It wasn't like today, where you have to put it bluntly, have your leg torn off, but you still had to serve. They copied easily, so only a small number of people remained. From this small number, they decided to make... so there were 5 battalions with a small number of people, and
Well,
they
of
decided
course, they
to make
united and
3
created 3
full-fledged
battalions.
ones. Yes. After we were transferred, we stayed at the mine for a while, about 2 or 3 days. Well, while we were there, leaving everything else was arranged. That is, they were often at home.
When did you get married?
In 21st year.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
No, there are no children.
I see.
After the 3 days, we were gathered and taken to the location of the regiment to which we were transferred in Shakhtersk. We also lived for a while in an abandoned club in Shakhtersk. It's a village, but I honestly don't remember its name.
In short, an army of homeless people. Simply... Well, move on. Let's move on to something... What this already, 2023?
Yes, it was already the 23rd year.
Summer 23rd.
In the summer of 23rd...
Or did I miss something? The war...
That's right. This is precisely the period from February 23rd. In February 23rd, I realized that they were simply throwing us around like meat.
Why did you understand that you were being thrown around like meat?
People started sending them on assaults, and the assaults were pointless, really. There was no artillery support, nothing.
They started today.
Yes.
A lot?
Yes.
Well, how much is a lot?
Well, dozens too. Well, not just a few. Dozens of people, and it happened in a matter of days.
Where were you that you attacked?
It was near Verkhnetoretskaya, the village of Verkhnetoretskaya. When I realized that everything was going this way, I decided to leave.
A deserter.
Yes.
So you leave the unit.
Yes.
Well done, and left?
Gone. 8 months.
Ah, you missed the whole of 2030.
The whole of 23, yes. The whole of 2023 I was gone.
Where were you?
I hid in rented apartment. That's how I got by. To
Was the
put
salary
it
paid?
crudely. No, they didn't pay me a salary. I got by with odd jobs. That's all.
Where are you? Were you in
In
Donetsk?
Kharkiv.
And did you see
Donetsk
your
region.
wife in secret?
Well, yes. Less often than before, of course.
And what did she do for a living?
My wife does manicures. She is a manicurist. I saw my wife. Well, she came to see me. To visit, roughly speaking.
How did they find you?
I went to the store.
And
Caught.
what did they see? Did they recognize you somehow, or...
I understand there was probably a raid there. They were just standing near the store, and I just so happened that as I was passing by, they stopped me and asked for my documents. I presented my documents, they checked them against their database, and it turned out that I was a deserter.
How much is this? When?
October 10, 2023.
And what happened next?
Then they took me to the pit. I spent a couple of days there. Then they sent me on.
Beat you?
Not much, but yes.
Uh-huh.
Then they sent me to dig. That's it. I dug for 3 weeks, and then they sent me to another unit. I started going to the training grounds with the people just as a guard. That is, security as an escort for people. Somehow it happened. That's it, and it turns out I drove like that for a while, going to the training grounds, and finally got to this point. So, while I was going to the training grounds, everything was fine, just fine. Then the training ground for a certain number of people ran out, and I had to escort 10 people to the site. So, when I escorted the people, they told me to move there and there. We'll direct you with a bird. That's with a drone.
Yeah, Zolkin and I, you know how many of these drones we've taken to the front. Yeah.
So, they guided me with a drone, and I ran to a landing spot I didn't understand, to some kind of trench. I was supposed to come to the trench. 3 of us were supposed to come to the trench. In general, my task was to bring people to the landing site, show them that there it is, and return back for the next people. So, roughly speaking, I acted as a guide. But since I was the only one left of the 3,
Where are the rest?
they didn't come.
Dead?
Yes.
Fine.
Since I was the only one left of the 3, I was ordered to go into the woods. Well, actually, I needed to somehow take cover from the shelling. So I went to the woods and found a trench there. I spent the rest of the night alone in the trench. After that, another man came to me. We also sent out together, and only one arrived. And after that, we stayed together for 3 days, and 2 more people came to us. After 2 people came to us, FPV drones and drop drones began firing at this position, so they dropped grenades. We took cover there, and the next day we were captured.
Who took you prisoner?
80th Airborne Assault Brigade, if I'm not mistaken.
When did you become a lieutenant?
I became a lieutenant in the summer 2022. That is, in the summer 2022, I was appointed to my position. More precisely, I probably became a lieutenant a little later. I was appointed to the position of platoon commander. And as for the lieutenant, because it was necessary to work with papers, the ordinary platoon commander does not work with papers, and there was no one to appoint. Well, I was pretty good with the paperwork, filling out logs and all that, so they decided to keep me. And that's how I got my rank.
I see. What else is interesting? How many people died in front of your eyes?
I've probably seen at least 20 of them over this entire time. But then again, that's just what I saw. And for the most part, well, about what I don't know, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands. This is something I have heard about, but not seen.
When you were a deserter, running around Kherson. What did the locals say? What was the general mood there?
Regarding the war in general, or specifically regarding deserters?
Let's talk about the deserters and about the war,
Regarding this and that. Regarding the war, people are fed up with this war, and most people have probably begun to understand that isn't what they were expecting, and that they were probably waiting in vain. Well, it's clear what I'm talking about, but I don't want to voice it.
yes? Sounded. Well, it's interesting.
People expected peace from Russia, but instead a war even greater than before initiated.
In fact, it didn't exist
Devastation
before, basically.
And a huge number of deaths follow it. Specifically in Kherson, from winter from January 15 to 22, there was absolutely no war.
Well, I understand that. Everyone knows that. And there was no growth, only decline.
There was absolutely no growth, yes. Unfortunately, there was only decline due to the fact that Kherson is called, the locals call it Little Donbas, because we have a cluster in Kherson. We have a rope factory, a pipe factory, and arm lead factory, a machine building plant, and also mines in the surrounding towns. All of this naturally began to close down because no one wanted to trade with the Donetsk People's Republic because it was unrecognized. Accordingly, the enterprises are located in unrecognized territory, and naturally no one wants to trade with them.
Are there fewer people?
People left in 2014 simply because of the war, and then gradually by 15th and 16th they began to come back, but many people left to work both in Ukraine and in Russia. A lot of people went to Europe to earn money. Those who had the opportunity, those who had the documents to leave, they went to Europe. So, in essence, the city became such that it was impossible to earn money. That is, it was enough for food, and that's all.
What about water and electricity?
Water. Until 2014, there was hot and cold water 24 hours a day. After 2014, water was supplied only during times when there was no curfew. That is, there was no water at night.
Where is the connection?
They turned off the water, they simply turned it off, and now in 2022 they started giving water only twice a day from 6 to 9 a.m. and from 6 to 9 p.m.
What is this connected with? I know what with.
This is due to the fact that from our reservoir, the water supply was switched to Makiivka and Donetsk. Makiivka and Donetsk naturally were left without water since the start of the full-scale war. They connected water from our reservoir to Makiivka and Donetsk. Naturally, our reservoir started to empty and we had to do something about it. So we decided to limit the water supply.
And now?
It's the same now, the situation hasn't changed at all.
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
And the light?
There are no problems with the light, except for when in December there was serious bad weather when trees began to fall. Branches fell and naturally wires broke. And since we had too many people mobilized, there was no one to fix it, and people were without electricity for probably about 2 weeks.
Well, and without water, of course.
Respectively so. Well, I mean, in some places there was water, in others there wasn't.
Kakhovka hydroelectric power station, did you see it or not? What do you know?
I see the whole.
Have you been there?
Yes.
This is when was?
In the 22nd, we were brought there to spend the
night. And
night.
then when it happened, what rumors and talk were there? Who did what and when?
There were various rumors circulating, like what the Russian side did and what the Ukraine side did, so the rumors were completely different. And it's completely unclear to me why either side would do this. That is, It is naturally senseless, and this is a huge natural cataclysm first and foremost.
But you can answer on sight, why did it have to be done?
In order to stop the offensive.
Absolutely right. What is there to guess about how would everything be here?
Well, the moods were mixed. Now, of course, people are mostly against what's happening, against what they were shouting for. So, the number of people shouting was actually small. Well, I'm from 2014.
Tell me about the referendum.
Neither I nor my relatives went to the referendum.
I have one question. Who went there?
There were some people, but not many.
Well, let's say approximately from your acquaintances, friends, percentage. I understand that this is not a complete sample, but still, out of 100 people, how many went and how many supported?
Out of 100 people, maybe 15-20% went and supported.
So, essentially, he just voiced number that, well, there's an official investigation into this matter. Those who had problems with the law in Ukraine, those who had loans, those who had all sorts of things, those who wanted to, expected to get away with it, supported and participated. If the government change, I'll change my head and everything will be fine with me.
Marginals, roughly speaking.
Well, this word should rather not be used. But the marginalized, that's a different story. Something like that. Traditionally, prisoners of war here turn to the cell of a broken Samsung if they want. Whether they need to go to war or not, what should they take with them?
No, I tell you, there is no need to fight in any case. There are even some individuals here whom I'm still trying to dissuade from this, but people are very complex, just the so-called idealists.
What are those who are in captivity and want to continue fighting the Nazis?
You even know him.
Great. So,
I won't point fingers.
great. Now we'll talk to him. Or has he already talked to me?
Communicated.
I understand.
Yes,
who are
that's
you
the
talking
word
about?
one.
Well, it means he hasn't arrived yet.
He haven't gotten to this point yet and probably never will.
Not a fact. Oh, that's not a fact. Anyway, yes, I interrupted. Did he already say that or not?
Yes, I want to repeat once again, it's not worth going here. God's not worth fighting. Nothing good awaits you here.
Yes, that's a fact. That's it. Like, subscribe, all this stuff, you know it all. If you want to smoke, smoke.